Good afternoon, Facebook. Hey, I just had the opportunity to meet with Janet Esposito today, our county auditor. As usual, her open door policy is always in effect. She's willing to talk with anybody that has any concerns. You know, as a citizen here in Portage County and an elected official, I've been to her office multiple times to discuss different concerns or ideas that I've had. And she's always been friendly and hospitable, and I really thank her for doing that. Her staff is great. They are hard workers, and they always are attentive to the questions you may have, and will work through the details with you to get what you need in order to answer your questions. Today she was willing to sit down and record a short video with me to discuss some of the questions related to the property valuations, and I know everybody's been waiting for this video, so without further ado, here's that meeting. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, Janet's office is always available to take those questions via phone call or email. All right, here we go. All right, so we're here to talk about the property value changes that have happened here in Portage County, and it's happened across the entire state. And I've gotten a lot of questions in Brimfield. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of phone calls and emails about this too. So we wanted to answer some of these questions for our residents here in Brimfield and across Portage County. So one of the questions that comes up when we first look at this is, how often does the State of Ohio Tax Commissioner require these county-wide appraisals?
I have to do a total county-wide appraisal every 6 years. And in between that is 3 years update. And that's basically based on sales in the 3 years. On the 6 years, sales count, they're important, and they're compared to the community. Every community is different on how sales work.
Okay.
And right now, it's a seller's market, big time. Because in 12, we had some reductions because the market was really bad. Houses weren't selling.
Right.
You know, delinquencies would be taken away. Then Land Bank came in, we took property, and they are still taking property. So sales is one of the important things. The other thing is conditions. They're supposed to view every property in Portage County, and we have almost 80,000 parcels. And that has taken almost 3 years to do. So they travel around the county. You know, we have overheads, the GIS system. They use that. They use different things involved in it. What's the appearance? What's the construction? What's it made out of? Wood or brick? Okay. Masonry is higher than just wood. And then it's also the windows, you know, the roof, everything that looks an appearance, because we never go in your house.
Okay.
And that's where people's advantage is. We don't know if you need upgrades. We don't know if you need a new furnace, new air conditioner.
Okay.
And, you know, rehab on your electric, your plumbing. You know, bathroom needs redone, and the more bathrooms you have, the more the value is added. And we have that because every permit that's taken out in Portage County comes in here. And that's how they check every year in the spring. You know, they start the first quarter of the year and do the rehab that's been done by the permits to see what you see, you know, by viewing, or if they want us to look at something in-house. Because sometimes it's to your advantage to have them come in your house. If you don't have a finished basement, that's not square living space. Okay. If you're on a slab, you know, we need to make sure that is all correct. And that's why we're on the real property system, so people can go in and look at that to make sure the stuff we have there is accurate. And another important thing is bedrooms. Bedrooms are cheaper. You want more bedrooms than bathrooms, you know? Because a lot of people have 2 or 2.5 or 3 bathrooms in their house.
Right.
You know, and like communities, older communities are more economical. They paid less. They don't go up as much. You know, like I've had my house for over 50 years. Right. And we built an addition that costs half as much as the whole house. And that's over 50 years old. It was, you know, built in 49 and 50.
Right.
And, you know, I grew up in an old farmhouse that had dirt floors and these great big sand blocks and rocks, and they leak constantly.
Right.
You know, so those kinds of things are important, too, because we have a lot of houses in this county that are built in the 1800s, you know, and lots of times they didn't have the proper years, you know, when they entered those into the system.
Right.
So anything that the taxpayer can give us to help. And the best way to do that is they look on the back of the market values I just sent out.
Okay.
And it says different times and days they can come in. And I encourage them to. If you need a new roof on your house, get an estimate, $20,000 or more. Things like that I've been telling people. And so is my staff. And we're just bombarded with calls.
Oh, yeah.
And emails that I can't get all answered yet.
Oh, I get it.
But I will eventually.
Yeah, we're getting it at the township, too. So you said that the staff goes out and looks at the properties. Now, is that your employees or those state employees?
It's never my employees because they're not qualified.
Okay.
I would have to hire a team of people to do that, and they wouldn't have a full-time job.
Okay.
Okay, all the people that I advertise for bids.
Okay.
And it just so happens I get the lowest and best bids that I've ever gotten, and I'm lucky to be able to do that because it's not cheap to do.
So every 6 years you have to put this out for bid and bring in these appraisers to go around and appraise.
Unless they'll give me enough timeline that it goes for multiple years,
okay,
which is unusual. But I've not had that with a reval, but I've had it with the new construction where they've given me 3-4 years, the same price, which I take when I can.
And so these are qualified appraisers. They have some education, background, training.
Well, what's even more interesting, everybody that works on the appraisal with a company or whatever, I have to send down their qualifications, their education, and the State Department of Taxation approves them doing it. Otherwise, they can't. And every year there's upgrades to their education that they have to continue with and provide documentation that that is done. So that's just like after we get all this done, we send it down to the State Department of Taxation, of which every month they are getting information from the county, from us, on the values, what's changed, and different notes on why it's changed. So in the end, they send back to me what they think the market value should be from everything they've accumulated over the last couple years. Okay. And that's why for 2 months, I have over 2 months, I discussed with them. And they're very good. I mean, they probably get tired of me calling them because I'll say, how many houses did you check for Brimfield Township? I want to know the sales and where they were. So
that you're making sure that they're looking at more than just one house sale or the largest house sale.
Well, yeah, because
they're getting a good mix.
That's right, and a big mix. Because the older communities are different than the bigger new, the new areas that have been, developed.
Right.
We had a few years ago where they weren't developing in them, and the developers went out of jobs.
Right.
They didn't continue.
So could we assume that part of the reason we're seeing a little bit more of an increase is because we did see a drop in 2012, and now we're recovering from that fallout?
Definitely. The economy has changed from 6 years ago, 6 to 8 years ago. Totally. That's why I say it's a seller's market. That's like I've had people call me and say, you've got to raise me from 150,000 to 189. And that drives me crazy. You haven't seen your taxes yet.
Right.
You won't see your taxes until the end of December when we get them from the state and roll them over to the new year. And we can estimate them now, but they're not going to be right. It's a rough estimate.
Well, and that's another question that we've gotten a lot. Somebody says, hey, my property value went up by 15%. So now am I going to pay 15% more in taxes? And I don't think that's exactly how it works, right?
It doesn't work that way at all.
Okay.
I mean, some people that maybe it depends on the area and what the levies are. Because when you vote for a levy, okay, say you got a 5-year levy that's going to bring in $1 million a year for 5 years. Okay. That's all it's going to get. They don't get more money.
All right, so the township's not going to see a bump in money on our road levy because property values went out. It's just going to redisperse how it's paid.
That's right. And the values, like some went up, some stayed the same. Some went down a little bit, and some went up. In the newer areas, it went up.
So really, we're just redistributing the amount paid towards that total of $1 million.
Right, and as the state always tells me, and these nice people I talk to at the state, you're doing it fair and equitable, Janet. I said, yeah. But anyway, I have to do what the law tells me.
So this is the same thing. How about school districts within our communities? Will the school districts see more money now, or are they capped out because they have those levy pieces?
On the voted levies, they're capped out.
Okay.
On additional or new, they're going to get more.
Okay.
On your road levies that pass for 5 years, bring in X amount of dollars, you don't get any more.
Okay.
Now, inside millage is full millage, but on a residential house, it's minimal. Commercial industrial pays more in taxes than you and I do for our home, a lot more.
So we're going to see a bigger hit to those commercial industrial properties.
Yes.
Okay.
They haven't let me even raise those for over 6 years.
Oh.
Well, Ohio wanted the economy to be better.
Right.
The economy's better. Excuse me. And the sales are high in commercial industrial. Like the land over there that was a golf course. There's a good example of the change. And, that changes the value of that land dramatically.
So with that said, as a local municipality, Brimfield Township, we're going to see typically the same percentage, same amount of money coming in that we've always seen because we have those levies.
You won't see a big hike.
Okay.
This is what's interesting. And I know people that get 20 and 30%, they've told me, but I don't know that anybody's really gotten 30.
Okay.
But some of them are higher than what I thought they would be.
But they're just paying more where somebody else is going to pay a little less now, meaning municipalities end up at the same dollar.
That's right.
Roughly same
You're going to
dollar.
get the same amount of money. You're not getting any big bag of gold, trust me.
Well, and it's worth asking because a lot of people ask us, well, you're going to get more money now, and obviously that affects how people look at levies that may come up or other things that are taking place in their communities.
New levies will give new money.
Okay.
Because they were never there.
So how is Portage County comparing to other counties in the state of Ohio? Have we seen numbers come in? Are we kind of an average, or are we growing much faster?
Was anybody watching Cuyahoga County when that was on TV? Some of them went up 400%. I about had a heart attack because ours weren't decided, totally by then.
Oh.
I was still in negotiations with the state. And my, those were high. And I can't believe that Cuyahoga County is that much higher than us because we have more land. We have more rural areas. We have 18 townships,
right.
6 villages, and 4 big cities,
Right.
And growing.
Yeah.
Kent, Aurora, Streetsboro. Right now, Kent's our largest city. Streetsboro's going to be on the next census.
Okay.
And then Aurora. And then Ravenna last. And we don't really count that much of Talmadge. Because, only a percentage of that is in here.
Right. Okay, so this is good information. If I have questions about this, do I have options to disagree with my current land valuation, and how do I handle that?
You absolutely have options, and I can encourage people to do that, please. I want you to look at the condition of your house, what needs to be improved in it. I just talked to somebody that needed new windows. Their house was over 40 years old. They were having problems with the windows. They were wooden,
okay.
And yeah. they were getting a price from a company Pella or something that was doing windows, and he needed new doors. And
right.
The roof, we just put a roof on our house a couple years ago, and it was $20,000. And we don't have a big house, and some people need a new furnace. If they have the original in their house and their house is 50 years old, they might need to replace it. They need to bring that and get an estimate of what they think the cost may be. Or get it from Lowe's or someplace, because I know different places will give that.
Right.
Or if you knew a contractor, because gutters too. We had to replace our gutters when we did our roof. And our house is older.
Right. And all those things could help bring down the value of the house a little bit to help reduce some of those tax costs.
The value cost.
The value cost, okay.
You want to get your value down.
Okay.
If you get your value down, then your taxes go down.
Right.
And you can always, if that doesn't work, if you come and visit, with any of the appraisers here that are starting this month.
Okay.
And that's behind the letters I sent out. It tells you different times, and you don't have to make an appointment. But I would recommend you not come in the first 2 days if it's been like our phone calls have been.
Right. So the official appraisers will be here to help discuss
yes,
this.
The people that actually did it will be here. And it's on the first floor at 449 South Meridian Street. You know, it's certain hours.
Right.
And we have some evening hours too.
Now, will people get an official appraisal letter for their property, or is that not part of this process? I've had some people ask, hey, do we get an appraisal letter since an appraiser looked at our property, or is it just the tax valuation piece?
That's what is done. That's the documentation we're given to do it.
Okay.
But there's also a complaint form. And after the 1st of January, you can file a board of revision, a complaint on your value and why.
Okay.
And documentation is good to have. There's another thing to consider is your land. Do you hold water? Does it not drain good? You know, it's things like that that you need to look at. And if you have that kind of a problem when it rains, but we haven't had rain,
right,
you take a picture of it so we can see how it ponds in your yard. And it affects washouts and different things depending on where the location is, you know?
Right. All right.
And it's important to look at all those. You know, my rationale is, and a lot of people come in and I'd be glad to help them, you know, to look at things because they don't think of it the way that we know that, you know, it's my house, I live there, I'm happy.
Right.
But there are problems that need to be upkept and done with every year or every few years.
Right.
And we need to look at it that way.
Right. Well, I think it's important for the public to understand that this is a piece that the Ohio Tax Commissioner requires that the counties do, and they set criteria for this, and they set criteria for who these appraisers are. It's just not, we're not hiring anybody to do this. There's some education and training behind that, but there's also options. And if you find or you feel your property valuation was wrong, to come on down to those open meetings, and have those discussions, and there's options to work through.
And as soon as we get the tax rates at the end of the year, there's a way to compute it in our data processing system.
Okay.
Now you can't do that because it's the wrong tax rates. You're not going to get the right. And I put something in there next to it saying, you know, don't work this for your 18. See, because we're always a year behind.
Right.
Tax year 18 is now, payable in 19.
Right. So we have a little bit of time to see what that change is.
Yes, we do.
Okay. And so after the first of the year, we'll be able to, when can we start to gather that information for our personal finances?
Well, it depends on when I get the tax rates. Sometimes they don't come until the last week of December, sometimes the week before.
Okay.
But we push them to get them.
Early 2019, we'll be able to start looking at that and start
because the tax bills go out in the middle of January.
Okay.
And due the middle of February. And we don't want to hold up the tax bills because then the treasurer says, hey, I've got work to do, and we agree with them.
All right.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know many times I've met with you before, and you always have this open door policy. It is truly helpful to me and to the residents, and we thank you for the service you're doing.
Right. And thank you, Nick. But I want the taxpayers to know they have a right to ask any question they want to.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea, and that's just opening this door for them and getting some information out. If you have more questions, please feel free to contact Janet's office and speak with her or one of her staff members, or come to one of the open meetings. And once again, thank you for taking time out of your day.
I appreciate it.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
Yep.
We need to tell the people what's going on.
That's right. Have a great day.